Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
At an assembly at Northeast High School, the important lessons of the day didn't come from a book, but the message was clearly visible on the somber faces of parents that spoke.
The state ranks freestyle swimmer, good-looking, smart. These words described our son Matt. On the outside to the rest of the world, Matt had it all. Yet, as our family looks back, we realized he was on a course that would eventually kill him.
He died sitting up in his bed, his glasses on, watching TV and texting at 3 a.m. with his cell phone open. I know Landon didn't want to die. He was being that risk taker, just like he was when he was playing sports. In 2010, Landon was one of 7 children, 17 and younger, that died from a prescription drug.
To make sure no other families suffer such a loss, Mark and Lori Sarah partnered with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Together, they started the Pinellas chapter of NOPE, which stands for Narcotics, Overdose Prevention and Education Task Force. Their aim is to educate.
Signs of overdose: seizures, body tremors, constricted pupils.
NOPE volunteers have spent countless hours educating some 68,000 students and parents in Pinellas County schools about the cost of addiction. They talk to kids about the reality of drug abuse, what it looks like, the importance of calling 911, and the emotional toll a fatal overdose has on a family.
My son is dead.
Okay. Stay on the line with me, okay? Are you with him right now?
I'm with him right now.
Okay. How old?
You got to understand that the right pills, the right mix, the right amount, and you can die. Just one pill can kill.
Nobody knew. When he had a back injury, a doctor prescribed OxyContin to him. And when he was swimming in college, the team doctor continually re-prescribed them. And the whole idea was to alleviate pain. We didn't know, I didn't know, it was prescribed by a doctor, filled by a pharmacy, paid for by insurance. Next thing you know, he can't stop.
At Palm Harbor University High School, NOPE volunteers shared their insights and concerns at a parent orientation.
Looking back, there may have been signs that Landon was experimenting with prescription drugs. For example, he was sleeping a lot, snoring.
We thought, how can somebody get this terrible flu so often? When in fact, he was doing his very best to try to come off of these powerful prescription drugs that ruled him.
And remember what I said, usually in average, parents are 2 years behind the curve on really trying to figure out what their kids are into.
Presentation was sobering. I mean, you're sitting there listening to parents that had the kids you think you have. Perfectly normal, clean cut, they aren't gonna get into this sort of thing. And you realize it can happen to any of them.
Every time we do a school presentation, we'll have 4 or 5 students come over, give my wife and I a hug, and tell us that they understand because their brother is addicted.
One of my closest friends, basically like my brother, passed away off of prescription drugs, and being in there hurt. Hearing their stories hurt. And makes me want to help people not do bad things like that.
It's easier to say no than it is for your parents to sit in a funeral room and plan your funeral of how they're going to tell their kid goodbye for the last time. And it's not the choice you don't want your parents to make.
It allows them to express some emotions. You know, we have students that may have seen a guidance counselor or teacher or been able to talk to someone today, and maybe today's the first time they've ever had that conversation that, hey, I lost somebody and there's hurt inside. You know, we're here to help them through life and navigate their way through these teenage years. You know, I just hope everybody understands that this is not a St. Petersburg problem. It's not a Clearwater problem. It's not an East Lake problem. It's a district-wide, it's a statewide, it's a United States problem.
I hope you don't forget me, and I pray you carry on.
At a recent Note Vigil, hundreds of people gathered to call attention to prescription drug abuse and to remember those who died. Pinellas School Board Chairperson Robin Weichel spoke about her son's addiction and the need for families to have awareness about an epidemic.
I use the word recovering with hope because recovery is a daily celebration that is taken one day at a time for the rest of our lives. My husband and I, we realize that we're only one phone call away from being on our knees. As I conclude tonight, please don't put your head in the sand about the horrible scourge of prescription drugs on our state and a community.
Go light your world.
Hundreds of families lit candles in memory of loved ones in the hope that next year there will be fewer deaths and fewer lights glowing that ultimately burn out.